Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my co-host,
Mike Cunningham.
and we are the Meddling Kids. And today we will be reviewing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Ooh, quantum. So, for those of you just joining us for the first time, when we do a review, we will always give a spoiler-free review first. So don't worry, we won't spoil anything until about 10 minutes later. From there, we'll give you some background, give you a play-by-play, our thoughts on the movie, whether or not it was good, etc., as we go along. Etc. But spoiler-free review first. All right, Mike, you ready to get started?
I am.
What'd you think of this thing?
All right, so I will.
Oh, Michael, come on.
I will openly admit that I came into this movie or just whole series when it comes to Ant-Man very biased. I find him pointless.
Okay.
Within the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're just piggybacking off of the popularity and the likability of Paul Rudd,
Who is just a great guy.
which he is.
I hear
think
he's just a great guy.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it was just like he really adds nothing to this character as a hero, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like for the most part, you can put anybody in the suit. The man gets big and gets small.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's not necessarily a great fighter, which
Yep.
is fucking frustrating for the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Especially knowing that this motherfucker's going to fight Creed.
Yeah.
But it's like he's not necessarily a great fighter. He's not a strategist or anything like that. So it's like the only thing he has going for him. It's like when in Iron Man 3, they took him out of the suit, right?
Yeah.
To show that he was still a hero without the armor.
He's still super smart.
Still smart,
Yeah.
like resourceful, all these different things. I don't think Ant-Man has those same qualities. So that's what's frustrating about it. It's like you're just literally banking on the fact that's why his fucking mask is off so much.
Yeah.
Because you have to remind yourself that
There's like, oh, it's Paul Rudd. I like Paul Rudd. He's a good guy. Yeah.
So anyway, so I came into this very biased, and I was not surprised at the results. I think some of the CGI was great. There was like a lot of scenes that were interesting, especially when they get down to the Marvel of it all, the Marvel climaxes. There's either a sky beam, which a bit, and then there's two CGI armies going at one another.
Yeah, as it always does.
As Marvel does. So it's just like, but I think it was kind of interesting how they incorporated the ants into this.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of cool. It reminded me of, I don't know if you ever saw the Aquaman movie.
Which one?
From the DCEU.
Okay.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
But in the final battle there, they had like warring factions in the ocean going. So you saw all these sea creatures. Like it was like you had like prawns and different seahorses.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing to see. Now, granted that, like I said, the CGI at times can be a little wonky because there's so many things going on with Marvel and how much they pay the visual effects artists and like the demand for it. So like CGI was a little bit off at times. I think they're following this phase 4 and into this start of phase 5. They're still following into this passing the torch thing that's kind of frustrating. Yeah. So like Ant-Man has always been in my mind a secondary character in his own films. Maybe not the first one. All right, that sets the world. But like the last Ant-Man movie, right after we just talked about it, right after Infinity War, and this one. You're just waiting for the post credits for the most part. Whatever happens in the movie doesn't really matter. It's how does this set up where we're going? Yeah, that's what happened in Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, where he's just like now he's stuck in the quantum realm. Yeah, and he gets out because of the world's most convenient rat, whatever. And then in this one, you're just trying to see how are they setting up this the Kang's dynasty. So it's like that's why it was interesting the fact that he literally takes a back seat in this movie. Yeah, a lot of times. And it was also when I saw that it was Kang as the antagonist, and I was like, how? If he's the big bad for the entirety of
from like one of the biggest, baddest dudes,
how is Ant-Man challenging? Because once again, he can't fight.
He gets big and small. He gets big and small. All right, he gets big, he gets small. That fight, all right, come on. Big, small, and like go at it.
I feel like that needs to be the tagline. Big, small. What are you not getting? But yeah, so just like seeing the antagonist for Ant-Man in this movie, I was like, how? Yeah. In what way are they going at one another? The power sets don't match, and all this. But so just like, I keep going back to the fact that visually it was fine. Okay. At times. Yeah. The story was a little rushed. Like I said, we talked about. Like I said, we speak on it a little bit before we start recording. So I felt like it was very rushed in the beginning. It was like, how do you introduce the world? Yeah. the audience to this new world, which is the quantum realm. Like we've seen bits and pieces of it and how terrible it is and how unknown it is. And we just get thrown into it. And like, there's no, I mean, granted, I didn't want you to baby me through the quantum realm. Right? Yeah. But at least you have Janet Van Dyne, who in the sequel to the Ant-Man, in the second movie, she gets rescued from the quantum realm after 30 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So obviously you have someone who's very much familiar with it. She had to survive down there for 3 decades. How do you not follow her? And you kind of did, but you kind of didn't. So just like make it make sense. It was like, especially in that beginning, when they first entered the quantum realm, you have the team split, so you get two parallels.
Don't spoil too much.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen that.
You've seen it. I'm just.
But it was just like, how do you not follow the knowledgeable person in this group?
So would you give it scale of 0 to 5?
Shit, I forgot. Like I apologize.
0 to 5. What do you give it?
I'm giving it a 2.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to go lower, but it was like, I think Paul Rudd does what he does. Yeah. I think Jonathan Majors is Kang. Like his introduction into the MCU is comparable to like your Killmongers, your Lokis when he first got introduced. Like these compelling villains.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not one dimensional. You see that, and he's just a great actor.
Jonathan Majors is awesome.
I've been following him since The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Like,
okay,
that was like kind of a low key one, but it was just like ever since then he's just knocked every role he's out. Everything out of the park.
Yeah, Jonathan.
So it's like he definitely built that up. I think it was interesting to see Kang's backstory a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Story-wise, he falls into the trap of a dumb villain. I think this is frustrating. You can't say somebody's like super intelligent and this godlike being, but they still make him stupid.
Yeah, and like all of a sudden
for convenience of plot.
And that's
so I think I'll give it a 2. It wasn't a terrible film. It did feel like it went on too long, but maybe that's just like, and I never know if something's going on too long because I'm bored and I'm waiting for it to end, or they're just building anticipation very well. I'm still working on trying to figure that out.
I think to answer that, if I may, of like the building anticipation very well, that's because if they're building anticipation very well, you know it didn't go on too long because there is like a release where you're like, you can like breathe out.
Okay, so that wasn't it.
That was not it. No, that was not it in this movie. No.
Yeah. Look, I'm trying to give things the benefit of the doubt, be less critical, or at least when I am critical, it's more like more constructive.
Yeah.
Just that was bad. This
we went to school in New Jersey. All right, so it was like beat would build. It would like build like do. Let's fucking go.
And then very interesting.
Okay. I did the same of like a film. Like
so I give it a 2. Like I said, it wasn't all the way terrible. Would I revisit again? No, I was mainly waiting for the post credits. As you see Ant-Man, and that's what I expect. He constantly plays second fiddle in his own films. Like the most important thing is him, just his name, like right.
Yeah,
just like it's like the Obi-Wan show. It wasn't about Obi-Wan, but his name was on the door.
His name was on it right there. Yeah.
So 2, and then
cool. I'm going to give it the exact same. I'm giving it a 2. There were some very pretty parts. There were some action parts, but God, so much of that movie just didn't fully make sense in the way of like them skipping around. They introduced so many characters that I didn't give a damn about.
Also, I feel like they that was that, and they also, I think they tried so hard. And then maybe this is the Marvel of it all, like we were talking about earlier, but it was like I think they tried very hard for comedy.
Yes,
and it just didn't.
So many of the
and
jokes
it was like because you know that Michael Douglas is fairly good at comedy. Paul Rudd, obviously.
Yeah.
And even the guy, he was Chidi from The Good Place.
Okay.
The telepath.
Oh yeah.
I think because he was fairly comedic in The Good Place, but it was just like a lot of the comedy just fell short.
So much of the comedy fell.
Or like trying to do the bits with like with teaching his daughter how to fight and different things like that. It was just like I don't know. It just didn't fit well.
Yeah. I completely agree. A lot of the comedy flopped. Just not. Again. If I went, as I think I've said before in the podcast, I'm not a huge Marvel fan in the first place. So I kind of go into Marvel movies being like, all right, big explosion, CGI armies. All right, clap it up, everybody. Keep it moving. They're not really my favorite cup of tea. But, so this one I was like, okay, I'm entertained at points. Other points in my notes, I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Why? What? And then they get it. The third act was just like, oh, so you just don't care anymore. Like, so much that was like established before.
It was frustrating. It was like so many movies do this where they'll introduce. It was like, why won't you tell me something?
Yeah.
Open your damn mouth and tell. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like, it's once again, I guess, either trying to build the anticipation for when you finally let us know.
It's just dumb. Yeah, because the whole time, and the whole time when you see, yeah, as you said, like Janet's character, she's been in there for 30 years, and then be like, "Oh, I'm doing something." They'd be like, just watching her do it, and they'd be like, "This is just how it is here," and I'm like, "But like, you could take a second to explain it. You could just
I can understand her having PTSD, not want to discuss it when she returned.
Yeah,
but now you're back to when she returned back to Earth.
Yeah,
but now that you're back in the quantum realm, it was like, no. You need to give your people a heads up.
Yeah, like kind of let them know a little bit more.
It was just so frustrating. It was that constant letting the plot dictate how the information was dispersed versus just common sense.
Yeah. Yep. So it's going to be 2 out of 5 for me. That's 2 out of 5 for Mike. It's a Marvel movie, yo. It's not the end of the world bad. There's worse movies out there. It's entertaining of sorts. Take your kids to it.
It's also early in the year.
Yeah. So but it wasn't ideal. No, but I mean, there's been so many, like, you look at Wakanda Forever that came out. That was a good movie. That was a legitimately good movie on top of everything else. Versus this wasn't a good movie. They recycled jokes from past movies too. They recycled jokes that they've used before, just trying to get a laugh. They followed the same formula they've been following for forever, but just not as well. Like they were like, we know this formula. We've done it before. Then like, why was this formula so much worse than other times? But hey, so before we get into our background and play-by-play, this is the end of our spoiler-free section. So if you would like to go check out the movie, honestly, I think we somewhat recommend it, maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
you're an adult. Make your own decisions.
It's also, I mean, if you're following Marvel,
yeah,
I think it is imperative, at least to see where they're going with their Phase 5. Like Phase 4 really went nowhere. Yeah. So I think they're still scrambling to figure out where they're going. And I think I was looking at something earlier that I think they push back a lot of things based on the reviews of this, and it's only been out a day. Yeah. But I think they're even figuring out, is like, one, there's too much fucking Marvel shit. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The shows and the films, like, people are getting fatigued. It is a real thing, and now they're seeing it in either the critic reviews or box office return. So it's like, obviously we need to reconfigure this. Yeah. Or else we're going to keep failing. So that's what we say. If you don't want to see the movie, you just want to keep listening, just keep listening. But before we get in our background and play-by-play, a quick word from our sponsors. My name is Edward Hunt. I'm on the Just Be team of Compass. We are all about where you are meant to be. So DMV, that's DC, Maryland, Virginia. If you have any kind of needs for the home, so you have a renovation project coming up, we have excellent contractors for you to work with. You want to get a HELOC or refinance, we have amazing lenders. And if you want any advice about the market, how things are looking, the process to buy or sell, please feel free to hit me up anytime. And a great thing is we are with Compass, so we are a nationwide brokerage. So even if you're not in DC, Maryland, or Virginia, but you're like, hey, that guy that tells me stuff about movies, he probably knows a thing or two about houses. I'd like to think so. Feel free, you can hit me up, and I can connect you with an expert no matter what market you are in, anywhere in the country. All right, Mike, ready to get started? That I am. Let's hear it. Background, what do we got? Okay, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Came out this year on February. What? Quantum. I don't know, dude. The movie sucked. I'm trying to make this entertaining. I also feel like Rick and Morty said it's like, stop throwing science words at other things. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so it came out this year, February 17th, 2023. It runs for 2 hours and 5 minutes. Yep. Which, like we said, I think, depending on how you feel about movies, people with people's attention spans and how stories go. Actually, I meant to say this. This felt like a movie for someone with a very short attention span, because every 10. I told you that beginning it seemed like I said, it reminded me of Avatar: The Way of Water, where it was like he was walking you through stuff very fast so they can get to the new. But even when they were in it, they're like, okay, cool. 3 minutes with jumping. Yeah, 3 minutes with Ant-Man and his daughter. All right, like, ooh, the Conqueror. Then 3 minutes with the next. Ooh, big explosion. 3 minutes with the next. I'm like, okay. It was like, yo, it just. I think it's because of the fact that, like we said, it's interesting that Multiverse of Madness did this, and now Quantumania was like, you bring in or introduce these concepts of something far-fetched or unknown to an audience that's not a comic book reader or whatever it is. And you really don't delve into it. The Multiverse of Madness, like, they hopped to maybe 3 multiverses, technically. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you can't call it a Multiverse of Madness and not delve into that. And the same thing with Quantumania. you didn't even tell us what the fucking quantum realm is, really. Like,
yeah, or it gets a real small place. Yeah, it's just a real small. And I'm like, all right,
small, big.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just but anyway, so what were we saying? 2 hours. It was 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure about the budget, but like we were saying, it's a Marvel
movie.
Probably at minimum 200 mil.
Yeah, that seems very fair. Yeah.
150 to 200 mil.
Paul Rudd shouldn't work for less than 100 mil. So
I don't want to roll over in bed.
Yeah, because that man is a sweetheart. Right?
We don't know the box office yet because it just came out, but I mean, I can predict it may not do well, even though, like you were saying, I mean, it looks like at least at Regal, from where we checked in the past few days, they have multiple screenings showing
all day. But also, Regal's a failing movie theater, and they're trying to get whatever.
Yeah, I feel like they're done at the end of the month. Yeah, at least the one gallery place.
Yeah.
So the Rotten Tomatoes currently, I think it was at 48 critic score, and then the 86 audience score. That once again just came out, so those numbers probably will fluctuate. Maybe not for the critics, but maybe the audience. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Usually word of mouth, especially after the first weekend, really dictates how the audience felt about the movie.
For sure.
And it's also one of those things where like it's what's frustrating. They introduced Paul Rudd because people love Paul Rudd.
Yep.
So like people are going to get, no matter how good or bad the movie is, they just know they love Paul Rudd.
Look, if you want a surface level movie where the plot never goes below like this point, right? There's no deep thinking in this. It's we're good guys going along, big explosion, small landing, keep it going, and that's literally this movie.
It's gonna be the big, small.
Well, that's the tag.
Small, big,
small.
And that's how you get infinite life in GTA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The genre is action, adventure, comedy.
Yep. Makes sense.
Very light on the comedy. Sorry. The director is Peyton Reed, who also directed the first two. Okay. So I think that a little bit of trivia. I think he's one of the few directors from a Marvel standpoint that directed all of the of his movies. So I think the only other one is maybe the original Spider-Man.
Oh, like the original Spider-Man?
With Sam Raimi.
Yeah, with Sam Raimi. Yeah, but that wasn't in the Marvel universe. So that was,
that's Marvel.
That was Marvel. But that was
I think usually they switch out directors very often for the most part. So that was a big thing. Peyton, who's also done. So his first movie is Bring It On. Okay. He does a lot of comedy. So it's like Bring It On, The Breakup with Vince Vaughn, Jennifer Aniston. Yep. Yes Man.
Okay. Yes Man.
Which I didn't realize that one isn't reviewed well.
No, it's not that good of a movie. It's entertaining.
Once again, it's a love of Jim Carrey.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah,
I'm falling into the trap. I'm making fun of this one for it.
Exactly, and it's one of the worst Jim Carrey movies. Not the worst. One of the not as good Jim Carrey movies. Yeah.
And then he also directed a few episodes of The Mandalorian.
Oh, cool.
But I think that's just him being in the Disney umbrella. So this film is starring Paul Rudd.
Who?
As Scott Lang / Ant-Man, or the current iteration of Ant-Man.
Yep.
Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne.
Cool.
Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror.
Cool.
Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet. So I had to spell it. That's how I'm saying. Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. Catherine Newton as Cassie.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. Who is Scott's daughter.
Yep.
And who was recast. So it was somebody else in the original.
Well, it was a 6-year-old for that first.
No.
They can't have the same 6-year-old.
Shut your whole mouth. Thank you. But I think I would need to go back and look it up, but I feel like it was the same actress from the original Ant-Man that was in Endgame when he gets back. Yeah. But then they recast her for this. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Or I feel like I'm right on that. And then like Bill Murray has a surprise.
He's in there for a second.
Yeah. I thought he was going to be more, but you can't afford Bill Murray.
Yeah, exactly.
And then so the tagline is interesting, kind of boring. This February, enter the quantum realm. Ooh. So once again, it's this whole thing where they're saying, "Oh, we about to get wild in the quantum." Yeah. And it's really one of those things where you can't look what a Doctor Strange, I guess, did with
multiverse.
The multiverse a bit.
Yeah.
At least in the trailer.
Yeah. But it seems like the quantum realm is like, it's big, but it's not that big. It's just like another.
The way that they found one another is some bullshit.
Exactly. It's just like,
it might as well just be the East Coast.
Like. Yeah, seriously. It's like, all right, we have to drive in our fancy ship that goes 1 billion miles per hour for 30 minutes. Got it.
the hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's all I have. No, not too much trivia.
Cool. No worries. I mean, I'm sure it's a movie. All right.
It is on film.
So this guy Ant-Man, has he done anything before? How does this movie start? Do we have an introduction to who he is?
So first, before
Fair.
we get into that, the opening scene is of Janet in the quantum realm. This
Yes.
is before she got rescued by her daughter and her husband in the second Ant-Man film. And so she's just living her life. She has like, I guess, this farm or something like that.
She has a mud hut. She
Yeah.
has a mud hut in the quantum realm.
And she sees a ship crashing. So she goes and she gets attacked by these creatures. She fights them off.
We never see those creatures ever again.
I wasn't sure if they came from the ship or was it.
I don't know either. Yeah.
I couldn't tell. But anyway, so the ship crashes. She goes to investigate because whatever. Not me.
Yeah.
Not on my land. But, but she goes to investigate the ship and she gets attacked by these creatures. She fights them off. And then, like, I think the last one, she the trips her, runs out of bullets. And she gets saved by the person that was in the wreckage. And then we just cut to present day San Francisco.
Yep.
And you have Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man, just walking down the street. People know him. And he's just narrating, I guess, what's been happening since, because most of the Marvel films do that now, kind of, this is where we are. This is after Thanos. Yeah. You've introduced the world to superheroes and cosmos and all these different things. How are people walking around regular? But
they're just hanging out. They're like, oh, that guy. I know that guy.
So he's walking down the street. People are recognizing him. People are wanting to take photos with their dogs.
Yeah.
He gets free coffee from this coffee shop because they think that he's Spider-Man.
He's Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, Spider-Man. I love it, Spider-Man. It's like, no, he's Ant-Man. But
he's written a book.
Yep.
Called Looking Out for the Little Guy, Look Out for the Little Guy, something like that.
Something like that's either the title or the tagline of it. But yeah, Look Out for the Little Guy.
And he's while he's narrating, this narration is coming from a book, like kind of a book signing or something like that, where he's reading kind of the last few pages of the books. And he's saying like he doesn't want to really be an Avenger anymore. If they need him, obviously he'll go, but he's trying to be a good dad. He missed out on so much time with his daughter being in the quantum realm during the blip.
Yep, fair. Yeah. So yeah, he's just pretty much not really being a superhero anymore, hanging out, getting free food, bumming it around.
So then we see he also lets you know what's happening with Hope. She's like gotten her father's company back. That was something I guess I didn't remember or give a shit about.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm like, thanks.
So like she's running her dad's company now, like kind of trying to save the world.
Which is cool. I mean, she's using the PIM particles and technology to like
for humanitarian relief and
solve world hunger, solve housing issues.
Yeah, because there's a big, especially with the population, half the population being blipped back.
Yeah,
and the population before that adjusting to those people being gone. Yeah. That's, once again, another thing where a lot of these Marvel movies have to address what happened because of Thanos. So it's like there's a lot of displacement with the people that are being blipped because their homes were given away or they just don't exist anymore. So,
or they lost all their money.
Yeah, so she's really assisting the world kind of bounce back from Thanos's snap. Yeah. Sorry. 1 second.
From there, so at the book signing, Scott Lang gets a call from the San Francisco County Jail.
Yeah, he's like, well, why jail called me? So he goes, and his daughter has been locked up. And I just knew from the jump, I was like, oh, I don't like this girl. I don't like it. Because it's one of those things that I think they're really pushing. Like I said, the whole phase 4, and it looks like into phase 5, has been this passing of the torch. Which is kind of frustrating in a way because of the fact that they're passing it to a young Avengers and not like the adults. Like I don't want to deal with high school kids. Yeah, no, that's having superpowers. Hard pass, much. Yeah, you let that shit be a Disney show. Like I don't want a young Avengers film. Yeah, the way you think Teen Titan has had a movie? Like who gives a shit? Yeah, no, fair. Go solve some grown folks' crimes. So you meet her. And she was, I guess, protesting.
She's either protesting it.
She was protesting because, like, they were I think there was these homeless people that they were trying to move out of this certain area.
Yeah, the cops were displaced.
If you know San Francisco doesn't have a big homeless population.
People are pooping in the streets.
And so, like, she was basically saying, like, these people can't help that they're homeless. Like, they got blipped. And, then they came back and their homes are gone. They have no money. And then she made a comment about like the only people that have money are trust funds assholes. It was like yourself.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah, like the one who has a ton of money right now.
God, yeah. There's nothing like the rich activist.
Yeah,
trying to show some type of struggle to relate to those actually going through it. And then also, I guess a funny part was like as she's signing out of the prison, one cop comes by and he was like, "Give it back. I know you took it." And like she shows that she shrunk his cop car.
Yeah.
But once again, I could just tell I wasn't gonna like her. It was very much like a virtue signaling character about what was going on, kind of what's reflected in the real world, but done ham-fistedly.
Yep,
so it was just
exactly.
Like, hard pass.
Yeah.
And so like they're driving in the car, and you get more conversation about them. I guess Scott not trying to be a superhero anymore.
Yeah, like he's just like, I just want to do my thing right now. I've done my part.
It's also one of those things like, bitch, I saved the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I deserve some goddamn time off.
Exactly. It's the same. They're at like dinner, like you're getting lunch as a family and hanging out right after. And he's like, I saved the world. And all the family's like, oh, Scott saved the world. And you give him shit. I'm like, no, he saved the world.
I was like, let me say it again. I saved.
What did you all do? What did any of you all do?
You were dead. You were dead. You were dead. You didn't even know I existed.
Get out of here.
But it is. I think it was very frustrating. One, because Paul Rudd. I think Marvel has been very much on a shitting on the main character, like the face of the movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like they did it on Loki. They they did it in Hawkeye, whatever it is. Like they keep shitting on that main character. So it was just like that's what it was like. It started with Cassie and Hope, and then it was like it extended to both Hank and Jen. I was just like, get off this man's back. That's like in She-Hulk, when she's talking about, she gives that whole speech, obviously, when viral, it was just like how women have to suppress their anger way better than men. But it was like, you're telling this to a man to Bruce Banner, who at one point was so depressed about his situation, about being the Hulk and all that he tried to kill himself, and he couldn't. Then he was trapped.
Continued to try.
He was trapped in in the cosmos on a slave. Like that man has been through stuff. Like don't downplay it. Or, it's just kind of frustrating because it's like you're really downplaying someone else's trauma. Because if from your perspective you think they're not doing enough or something like that.
Because it's their perspective.
It was very, like I said, that's why I couldn't stand, and that's what she's a teenager, so it's like I guess you let it slide for some fucking reason. Go to your own But anyway, so he basically says that he was like, I saved the world. This is now they're at they're visiting Hank and Janet at their house. And he's like, I saved the world. What have you guys done? And then they all give each other, the three of them give each other a look. And that's Cassie, Hank, and Hope. And basically they've been working in the quantum realm trying to, trying to map it out without ever having to actually revisit.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to go there. We know Janet, you told us not to go here ever again, but we still want to like map it out and like do stuff.
And there's also, I think, something that was interesting, but also a little bit frustrating was Hope's relationship with her mother. Like she keeps trying to get her to talk about stuff that happened in quantum realm, and Jenna's like, no, I was trapped there for 30. If I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to talk about it. Like, because it very much seemed like Hope was it kind of in Arrested Development was like her mom left and like she was never able to grow up. But it was like you do realize like she went through shit. And it was like if she don't want to talk about it, she don't want to talk about it. That's fine. Like granted, maybe she should talk to somebody about it, but who would that fucking be?
Yeah. So I will say in defense of that, like she was like it was like, all right, well, you don't want to talk to us about it, that's fine, but we still feel like we need to explore it and know what's going on down there, etc.
And it was like, explain as to why. And
I
think this is when I was like talking about how they structure the plot and telling the audience things. It was just like, you see that they're interested about the quantum realm. You know the dangers of the quantum realm. Why are you not relaying this information?
Just literally be like, hey, down there is a dude who can destroy time. All right, just do that. Be like, there's a dude down there who destroys time.
It was like, it was so frustrating. You have these moments. I think Hollywood does that so often. It was like one of my favorite tropes is a character has to tell another character something, and right when that character is about to say, it's like, wait, let me just say my thing first. Let me interrupt you first. Then they say it, and it was like, so what you have to say? Oh, nothing.
No. Yeah,
that is literally a trope in all of Hollywood. It's just all of literature, apparently. But anyway, so Scott asks them what they're doing. They say, "Oh, we've been working out to map the quantum realm." Basically, Cassie, and it's like I think she was very pushy with Scott on like him not wanting to be Avenger anymore. But you could see that she did miss him when he was gone. So it was like she was working on something. She was basically this Hubble telescope or something like that. If she would have had it, she would have been able to find him in the quantum realm. During the blip. So it was like I think that was a cute moment. It was like that was her motivation. But So she turns on this machine that's basically sending signals down to the quantum realm and then bouncing back so they can get a map.
Yeah, but they're receiving signals from the quantum realm, which is
and
bad.
Hope is like, oh, turn that shit
Janet.
off.
Yeah.
Janet, sorry.
Yeah.
Janet is like, turn it. She kind of freaks out and she just unplugs it, but it's too late.
Yep.
The machine turns itself back on, and then they all start getting sucked into the quantum realm.
Which, though, just question.
If, as a resident scientist of the podcast,
no, it's just more like if Kang cannot get out of here, and they've had no way before this point of getting out of the quantum realm or communicating outside the quantum realm.
Correct, yes.
How did they not be like, hey, we're sucking them into the quantum realm because you can just do this now?
I think so. What MODOK was saying, the one who created this thing, was because you know that the person that MODOK was in we won't
B-boy.
Huh?
B-boy.
He was very much an intelligent scientist, and he was saying how because of who Kang is, and like he's an interdimensional traveler. He has advanced technology and all that stuff. So I think they weren't able to leave the quantum realm, but I think he did have enough science to I guess get that signal and stuff like that. So I think get
the signal and then suck people in from the outside.
I guess once again. It's quantum.
For those just listening and not watching YouTube, I just gave it a Jim from The Office camera. But all right.
But so everybody gets drawn into the quantum realm, and like I said earlier, trying not to spoil it, but the team gets separated.
Yes.
So so people they get sucked in. So you have the Van Dynes, you have the Langs, that's Scott and Cassie. Van Dynes are
Hope, Janet,
and then Hank Pym.
Yeah.
So they get separated. The Langs somewhere, the Van Dynes and Pym somewhere else, and also some of Hank's aunts.
Yes,
get sucked into
the also get it. Well, basically, the entire garage area that they're in, everything gets sucked into the quantum realm. Yeah,
and so as they wake up, Hank and Hope finds Hank. And Janet comes and there's like the scout ship that comes and she knows to hide behind this structure or whatever it is. Yeah. And she's like, keep your voice down. We gotta get somewhere. Like once again, she's
very cryptic of like, I'm not telling you shit.
And I think that's what was frustrating because it was just like, I guess there was this franticness because they do want to find, the other group.
Yeah, they want to find Scott and
Cassie, but it was just like, stop. A minute, just let us know what the fuck is going on.
Exactly.
And it was like it was so frustrating that they kept drawing it out. And so like
that done in small portions in movies, I get that.
But it was literally the entire first and second act until you meet Kang.
Yeah, exactly.
And so so you have the Van Dynes group led by Janet, who has been here before. So like there's a scene with her interacting with like this
they're like bandits or
something? Desert
trooper scavenger people.
Yeah, and she just says, let me handle this. And they're like, the guy comes up to her, tries to stab her. She stabs him back and cuts his arm off. Yeah. And it was like, then they greet one another.
Yeah, it's like this big joke and they laugh.
Yeah. And she gets them basically a transit to go somewhere else to meet another friend to help them. And then at the same time, Ant-Man and Cassie get captured or whatever by
there's this like random little sun thing that comes and rushes at them, and then this is why I'm bringing it up. So Scott, he grows big to then fight off this first sun thing, and then he shrinks down to like normal people size, I guess, and then this giant like amoeboid mass comes and starts chasing him. So what does he do? He stays normal, small, tiny size, which is so much slower than so much of this movie would be solved if he just went big. That's literally what I'm saying.
I think what I will say is like you did say you don't watch the originals, but there is something about him getting that big, the energy required to hold it. Yeah, even you see when Cassie later gets big, she's like, I'm just so hungry, and like she sort of faints. Yeah. So I think if you know the Ant-Man lore within the MCU, you do realize that he can't stay that big.
But he could get that. But if, say, he's about to die from a giant amoeboid thing, maybe he would get big for like a split second, punch it in the face, and walk away.
And so so they get captured by this rebel group, and taken to their camp. And this is what it was rushed. So it was like Ant-Man is like being dragged to like I guess the leader or whatever, and they can't understand what these people are saying.
All the people are like,
and so Cassie is there with some shit on her mouth. She says, "Dad, drink the ooze," and she came out of nowhere. So it was just like, once again, it was so funny.
Because she's like, "Where's Cassie? Where's Cassie?" And like, if these are like somewhat decent, nice people, why are they all like angrily chanting "ooh ah ooh" at them?
And so like they bring this ooze for him to drink, and he drinks it, and he slowly starts understanding the language of the people that have him captured. You see that they're not hostile. It's just like you just couldn't understand.
They're chanting.
It was basically Russian. Is what it was.
They're chanting "drink the ooze," but there's like torches and fire, and they're like pushing him and holding him hostage while like chanting angrily at him. And they're just saying "drink the ooze." Like, what in the world kind of scene is? I get like for the the comedic value they were trying for, but what? Anyway, moving on.
Well, I think it was also you couldn't have an entire movie where they couldn't understand.
Oh no, that I totally get.
The people from the quantum.
No, I totally get that. I'm talking about it doesn't make sense for any sentient being to take someone hostage and be angrily chanting at them, only to then be like, "No, we're
trying to be
we're your friend. We got this." Yeah, like that was just a misunderstanding.
So now that they both drank in the ooze, they can understand. So like they get interrogated. There's a mind reader. I can't remember his name.
That wasn't a good place. Oh, the character's name?
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Mind reader boy.
Mind reader man.
I mean, he didn't do much. He didn't do enough to be.
He did not. I think he was there out of convenience and then comic relief a bit. But the comedy didn't really.
And a lot of it fell flat.
So like they get interrogated because they're trying to figure out why they're there. They do recognize these two people as humans.
Yep.
Which is rare for the quantum realm, even though there's humanoid creatures there, but they're not humans.
Yeah, but they're human where it matters.
And so they get interrogated. They realize that they don't know anything.
Yeah, they don't know anything.
So they try to get them to escort them out of here
because they're there and they're human. That means
that
he will want to find them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they mention Janet's name, and Janet's name is recognized. So like, then there's this whole thing was like, how do you know her?
Yeah. Well, I think this is even the thing is like with this because I think that was technically the next iteration. So this movie jumped back and forth. It was back and forth.
That's why I'm trying to rush through because it's not really that important.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, because why I'm bringing it up is like they were like he would want to find you, and then flash to Janet and all.
It's not like it's Voldemort. You can say his name.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just like literally 3-minute segments, like 3 to 5 minutes.
Because they were trying to do it in parallel, but you had to understand that it was happening at the same time. So while they're being basically escorted out of the rebels' camp, Janet and the Van Dynes have arrived at some city.
Yep. And there's a broccoli-headed man.
It was like just the fact that he got his own little moment. Like, at the end, do we have time for that? No, even then.
Yeah.
But they go to a secret bar or a lounge to look for Laura Krylar.
Yep.
Who was a former, freedom fighter with Janet back when she was in the quantum realm. Yeah, she knows that he has power. He can help. If anybody knows,
well, he wasn't a lord at this point. He was a rebel leader. With her. Yeah,
and so Janet orders drinks at the bar, and it's that same ooze that helps
people understand.
Both Hank and Hope understand the people from the quantum realm, and then she goes to another guy and says, "I'm here looking for Krylar."
Yeah.
And so Lord Krylar arrives in this, immaculate ship, and it is Bill Murray.
Yeah.
It was very much like when Jeff Goldblum.
Yes, I was literally just saying he's basically Jeff Goldblum's character from Thor Ragnarok, only in the quantum realm.
I think that is amazing that, like, as an actor, depending on who you are, like you're Harrison Ford, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray, like Jack Black, or no way. It was just like your career is so, like, you've done so well in your career, and like decades before, that just making an appearance like brings joy. You don't have to do much.
Yeah,
Bill Murray did the same thing in Zombieland. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, so this is where you get more, like, you get the background between the relationship, a bit of relationship between Krylar and Janet.
They were bumping uglies.
Yeah. And then there's still this vagueness, and it was like so fucking frustrating. Like, Jesus Christ. Because also what's annoying is the fact that Janet and her family rode from wherever in the desert they got this flying, whatever, that
manatee or manta ray.
Yeah, they flew from the desert to a city.
Yep.
And you not in any of that time did she explain anything. Nope. It was like, so y'all were just silent the whole fucking.
Yep. Like, duh.
And so like now they're sitting with Lord Krylar, and she believes him to be an ally because of their past.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously changed sides, and like so. When Janet left, and it's not like she left on her own. Her family came to find her and took her out of the quantum realm. She's not from there. But Krylar mentions that you left us with him.
Yeah.
and so now Krylar is working for Kang because he's all powerful. Like there's no way to not.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be one of the rebels, and so he basically sells them out. He sells Janet out because he knows that Kang is going to be looking for her, and so like there's this.
And Kang has sent the.
And he was just like he sent
hunter
his
what he
the
called
hunter
him.
for both Scott and Cassie. So you have Janet, Hope, and Hank. They fight their way out of the bar. Still,
Krylar turns out to be a bad guy. So then, like, they have a bunch of soldiers rush in. They all fight it out. They hop on a ship.
They hop on Krylar's ship to escape. And at the same time, like you said, Krylar mentioned that Kang has sent out his hunter to search for both Cassie and Scott.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have the hunter and some of Kang's men ambushing
the rebel group,
the rebel camp, and they're so pissed. It was like you did this, you brought them here, and so this is where you get some of the comedy, I guess. But it was like I think they constantly Marvel does this a lot where they try to embed comedy in these serious moments.
They can't.
People are dying.
Yeah, people are dying. Marvel does not like serious scenes. They're just
that's
like,
what it is. So it's just like you have this scene where it's like Cassie shows that she has a suit. She had mentioned that she has a Ant-Man suit.
Yeah,
but now she actually has it with her. So like, Scott's trying to teach her how to because she's just fumbling all over the place because I guess she's never utilized it.
Yeah, or he's like jump then turn.
Yeah, so it's just like these moments where him trying to comedic moments where him trying to teach his daughter how to fight.
Yeah,
utilizing the big small of the suit, and it's just like rebels are losing their lives,
constantly dying. Yeah, there's
in the background. Comedy is like I feel like Hollywood is constant moments of do we have time for this?
Yeah,
we do not. And so you also get introduced to the hunter, who is MODOK, which is the mechanical organism designed only for killing.
Yes, MODOK.
And it's like these more comedic beats, I guess.
Yeah, and that was a funny thing. I took that from the movie.
And then so you see that MODOK is Darren Cross, who is the villain or the antagonist in the first Ant-Man.
B-boy.
I don't know what
that B. She called him a B.
Yes. Because he was Ant-Man. Yeah, he was a B.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's why I keep calling him B-boy.
Yeah. I was like, I don't get the reference. I guess I'm not cool.
I mean, well, those are two separate things.
I guess I'm not on the Tiki Tots.
Those are three separate things.
But yeah, so at the conclusion of the original Ant-Man movie, Scott shrinks down and breaks Darren's suit, his Ant-Man suit. And he shrinks and sinks into the quantum realm, presumed to be dead.
Now he's a giant head.
But Kang found him and saved him. And so now he has a giant head and teeny. I think it's because of it's interesting the way they did, because obviously the whole thing with Ant-Man and Pym particles is body disruption and the sizes and everything like that. So it's like the suit broke down, left his head regular size, but shrunk his
not his regular size,
but it was just
smaller.
So it was like smaller. I think that did make sense.
Yeah, no, that did. Actually,
I think what was frustrating is and I think a lot of people saw this in the initial trailers when I think you saw a bit of MODOK there, but it was just very bad with that mask, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then
it was bad with the face.
You take the mask off, and this is what's frustrating about Marvel too. It was just like, just keep the fucking mask on. I don't understand. Like, we know who's there. Like, you don't have to constantly keep reminding us who's under the mask. I don't need Spider-Man to constantly take his mask off.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And all of Marvel does it. It was like they're constantly in battle without their mask on.
Yeah, and especially it makes even less sense for Ant-Man and Cassie because they can't use the suit without the mask.
Also, I didn't know these motherfuckers could breathe down it. But
exactly. Yeah, there's another thing too. Yeah. But. Also, I will say I did chuckle because I'm very mature. When they picked up Daryl from the bath, and you see his the
little legs, tiny little booty,
tiny little legs in his butt, and you're like, that's stupid. Funny, but no.
But it was so I think this was it was very, very bad CGI with and it's interesting because if you know about MODOK, it is a very one of the most cartoonish comic book characters of all time.
He's a giant head.
The only way that they make him menacing is they make him terrifying looking, like the face.
Yeah, the
but it was like,
mask.
so you're literally a giant head and tiny limbs. Like, how am I going to take you serious?
Yep.
But it was like, I don't know what VFX team did it, but it looked just maybe he needed the face to be a little bit tinier.
I don't know.
It was super weird because
it
there
was
was like no consistency between the face and the. But anyway, so MODOK captures. He has a vendetta against Scott because of the first Ant-Man movie. So he captures both Cassie and Scott.
yeah.
And so they're in prison, and then you finally get to meet Kang. And I think also at the same time now,
Janet's telling them about
Janet and like they've stolen Laura Carla's ship, and I think they're racing to where they need to be to stop Kang. And now you get the backstory on between Kang and Janet. And so when he crash landed, he told her that he was a scientist, and his enemies had sabotaged his ship. It was a multiversal engine or something like that could travel through the multiverse,
space,
time,
everything.
whatever.
Yeah.
So they had sabotaged the ship and left him there stranded. And so Janet are working to fix the power core for the multiversal engine so that he can get home and he can send her home. Yeah. And they have this these interesting moments.
They become friends.
Yeah. Over because he was like, I think Janet's big thing was she felt that she had lied to Hope. And I think this was in the first one about how because basically what happened was, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you remember from the original Ant-Man, but they went out on a mission, both Hank and Janet, and there was a nuclear missile of something like that. Gotcha. And the only way the technology was so advanced that the only way for them to stop it was for her to shrink down to quantum size or whatever it was to break it. To break the missile from within.
Got you.
But in doing so, they trapped her in the quantum realm. Okay. So right before she had left, she had told Janet, "I'll be right back." Obviously, so I think that was her motivation. It was the last thing that she had done to her daughter was lie to her.
And it was great. And so then you saw there, with Kang, he's just like, "I promise I'll get you home. We can make it so when she does open that," she keeps talking about "I promise you'll be right back as soon as you open the door."
Yeah, he was saying explaining to her what time was, and it was just it's a construct. It doesn't really matter, and he has the power to make it so as if she hadn't been gone at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think at that time he was just the stranger, or whatever, because he didn't have his powers, and so
with that, he only has his powers because of the suit.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that helps at the end too.
Yeah.
Because I thought the same. But so they finally, after X amount of time, once in time doesn't matter in the quantum realm, they are able to fix the power cell or the power core, sorry. And it's a neurological something. So just as soon as she connected it to the ship.
Yeah. Well, the ship is controlled with your neurotransmitters in your brain. So it's controlled by thought. So then she connects to the ship and touches the ship.
And she's able to read Kang's mind. And this is what she finds out, I think, about his past, things he's done, his motivations.
How he's just destroyed timelines.
Yes. Yeah. And then so she sees all that while he's sitting there, and he goes, did he ask? No.
He didn't fully know what had happened.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
I guess because he didn't realize the.
Yeah. I guess he didn't touch her mind with that same thing. Yeah.
And so she goes, "Who's Kang?"
Yeah.
And he kind of changes he's like, "Shit."
Yeah.
Because he hadn't told her his name at that point, and he just keeps saying that I made a promise I will get you home.
Yeah. I love this scene. This was the best acted scene in the
because it was very much on Kang's or Jonathan Major's part. He didn't switch to the villain where it was just he was being secretive or anything like that. It was truly he was genuine and it was just I'm going to destroy my variants or whatever. And I think this is an introduction to this whole idea of the multiverse. But she just sees him as a monster.
Yeah. But he's no, it's he kind of considers her his friend at this point in time. And he's I promise to get you home. I will not break my promise. He's I don't break my promises, which is totally false because he breaks one later. But
who likes Scott?
But but he's I promise I'll get you home. And then it's kind of is that deal with the devil. It's okay, I'm going to destroy other multiverses, other timelines. I'm not going to destroy yours. And I'll make sure you get home. Question: would you have taken that deal?
Sure would have.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm
just Quantum sucks. Did you see the food that they had?
I'm this place sucks. And
all their food was still alive.
Yeah, and it would have been pinky promise you're not going to destroy my planet. All right?
Sir, I will take your ass to court if you break this pinky promise. But so Janet being obviously a better hero than either one of us.
Right? Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm not a hero.
I could help a lot of people on my planet. I can't help everyone in all the other multiverses.
I only own one timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever anyone else does on theirs has nothing to do with your boy. But so Janet, being the superhero that she is, she takes the core and she tries to run. He stops her, so she jams a bunch of PEM particles on it and then slams it to the ground, so it explodes,
I guess,
and it becomes too big to maintain. Right, and so trapping them.
That's what happens.
Trapping them both there because
this is when it also starts getting real inconsistent about like what the PIM cartridges and particles really do and how long it takes for all of this.
Yeah,
like from here on for the rest of the movie, they're just like they play pretty fast and loose with the rules.
The movie, sci-fi, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But also another thing before we move on is like as the ship turned on, Kang got his suit and stuff like that. So it's like
why.
I once again connected to the ship.
But then she takes the power core out.
I think
he
already had it. So
he's like, I already put it on, so I'm good now. Why couldn't you put it on beforehand? There's a lot of things.
But so because the ship had been powered up, Kang regains all of his powers for whatever reason.
Exactly. It's just why it doesn't fully make sense. Like what powers his suit? Like I don't know.
And so that's where they're racing to. They're racing to the core, which is still exploded and where they had left it, so that they can retrieve it and to use it to get out of the quantum realm, but also stop Kang from getting it.
Yeah, they're like, we have to make sure Kang cannot get this as well.
And so at the same time as the Van Dynes are racing to the power cell, Cassie and Scott are locked up, and Kang you get introduced to Kang in face to face, and he's just saying, "Look, if you help me, I'll help you. Like I'm the only way that you're gonna get out of here."
Yep. I'm like, hey, apparently he's supposed to keep his word for these kinds of things. He said he promises,
and so Kang, and this is what I appreciate him as a villain because he was just like he asked, Ant-Man said no. So he was just like, I mean, I'll just kill your daughter. So
and I'll make you relive it over and over and over again.
And I was like, thank you. If you're gonna villain.
Yeah, villain. That was a good villain iteration. It was like, heck yeah. And then
because he was like, as he's torturing Scott, Scott's not backing down because he's a hero.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, your daughter's right here. So he starts torturing Cassie. He was like, I will kill her. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
And so Scott finally relents, and he's like, you need to go. We'll take you to the power cell. You need to shrink down.
Yeah.
And then shrink the power cell down once you get in there.
Yep.
And this is where we finally get a bit of the Quantumania of it, I guess. So like as he shrinks down, and gets near the power cell, he enters like a possibility.
The core, which has the possibility realm.
Yeah, so it's like basically any possibility of this moment, like you get a new a copy of yourself. Yeah. And so I think it was funny at first because it was like every copy that is confused as to why they're there, and stuff like that. So they just keep multiplying.
And there's the one copy that never became a superhero, Scott from Baskin Robbins. That was funny. Yeah,
it was a bit funny, but it was like also overplayed.
It was overplayed.
I don't know if you've seen the episode. I don't know if it's a movie from Family Guy, but like they did the same thing with time travel.
Okay.
And so like they kept going back to one moment, and it was like every single iteration came to that same moment. So it was just like it gets like Family Guy does this a lot where they extend the joke. It was just like it was funny, and then like you did it too long, so now it's not funny.
And that happened.
And this is what happened here. So at the same time, Hope is also shrinking down.
Yep.
There's two separate things where like Hope is also shrinking down to get to the power core, and she's also dealing with this possibility thing.
Yeah.
And so Scott is kind of overwhelmed by all these copies of himself, and then he hears Cassie in his headset saying, just come back. Yeah. Come back. And I think that motivates him.
Motivates all the clones.
And it was just like, and like MODOK is saying, how is this happening? Because I guess that was a funny moment with MODOK where like Scott shrinks down and he's like Marvel does this crazy thing was like everybody is on the same radio frequency.
Yeah, exactly. There's only one radio frequency here. Yeah.
So like he calls out for Darren and there's no answer. He calls him again. There's no answer. He's like, MODOK is like, yeah, what's up?
Hey, what's up? I'm here. I've been here the whole time.
That was a bit funny.
Yeah.
But so like obviously they're all on the same radio frequency. They can hear one another, and Cassie just says, "Come back."
Yeah. Well, I don't think I think which was weird. It seemed like he was the only one with a radio frequency because that's what distinguished him for being like the real clone, the real one, and all the others. So everything got cloned about them except the radio transmitter in their ear.
That was, once again,
didn't make sense.
Sci-fi, bro.
And then Cassie was like, "Come back, Dad," and all of them who were just like, "I'm the real one." Wait, crap, he's the real one. All right, let's get him up.
And it was like you're seeing that all of the possibilities are working towards one goal. So that's how he's able to control them.
Is that why they all got sucked into him at the end? Because it's all one goal?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Okay, cool. Yes.
There's no more possibilities. We all are working together. So it was like they work together to get him close enough to the power core to shrink it down, but he only shoots one pin particle at it, and it's
not enough.
Dissipates.
Yeah.
So then Hope comes, and they both shoot pin particles at the power core.
Yeah.
It works. It shrinks down.
Yep.
And Scott gets it, and he's like, Hope is there, and as well as Janet, and she's like, "You cannot give it to King. Like, I know and Scott's saying he has Cassie, Cassie." And Janet's like, "I know, I get that. We will get her back, but he cannot get this because she knows he's going to use it to escape and wreak havoc."
Yeah.
And then at that same time, Kang comes like, "Oh, don't listen to Janet. She goes back on her word all the time." And so like, there's a bit of a fight, but it was so precious because once again, if all you do is get big and get small, and you can't fight, what are you really doing?
And even right before that too, where I was talking about with him breaking his promise, he like literally Scott's still considering. He's like, "All right, where's Cassie?" And like, just give me Cassie. And Scott's still like, "All right, give me Cassie, I'll give you the orb." And then Kang is just like, "I don't got time for this." He just takes it from him.
I think after years of waiting, it's one of those things where like, just come on, like you're so close to your goal.
But notice I said this, and I'm going to say it again later. It's like towards the end scene when Kang's saying some stuff that's just a lie. Because I'm like, anyway. But yes, so they have a fight, and Kang just destroys them.
Yes.
He just absolutely
he's smacking them big, smacking them small.
It doesn't matter. He just absolutely annihilates them. And like, it doesn't matter. And then he just takes them away. Like,
so he takes the core, and he also Janet tries to run away because MODOK has crashed Hank's ship.
Yep.
So Janet tries to run to go help Hank, but she gets like, I guess, frozen in time or something like that. And so Kang takes her and the core back to his tower.
Yeah, and he's like, "You survived out here. You left me to survive out here by myself, or something like that. Let's see if they can do it." And just walks away. It's like, "All right, way to set yourself up, buddy."
Yeah, villain's got a villain, man.
Yeah.
And so, what happens? A lot of stuff starts happening very fast.
Yeah.
So number one, Hank is saved by his ants, and you get this whole bullshit once again about the quantum realm, and the ants that had gotten sucked into the to the quantum realm had experienced a temporal anomaly where they had lived a thousand years in a minute or an hour or something or a day, whatever it is. And so they become so advanced that they use that technology to reach out and find Hank.
Yeah, they become like this super sentient, smart ant society.
Yes, and then he makes a comment about socialism.
That's later, I think, isn't it?
That's same thing. Skip
right.
Actually, no, it's a little bit later.
It's a little bit later. Yeah.
Skip right past. So so you have Hank and his army of ants. You have what's her name? Hope and Scott.
Yep.
Now they need to go save Cassie and Janet. At the same time, Cassie escapes from. I guess she escapes from her captors.
Yeah, she's like being like escorted to a cell, and she kind of escapes and shrinks down. And like she like knocks one out, makes one really big, and then a bunch of soldiers walk by and don't see the big guy. Yeah.
Anyway, so she goes and she releases Gentora, who was the
Why
leader.
Is she alive?
I don't know.
Why is she alive? Why is she in there? We haven't seen her forever. All of a sudden, she's back. I don't care.
So Gentora was the leader of the rebels that had captured Cassie and Scott in the beginning, and so she has a plan that, like, because so many of her other rebels are also trapped in the tower, so they're gonna go release those rebels and also send out a message to the other rebels to say, "Now's the time." I guess.
Yeah, it was because
they needed an army. It could have been just the ant army, but I think it's.
Yeah, because so right now they're doing that. They're rescuing the rebels, and like I kind of remember who these rebels are, I guess, but they were.
It was only three. Four. Sorry, it was Gentora. It was Lampface. It was the telepath, and then the jelly guy.
Yeah, well then there's like the other random people down there, and then I guess Kang's talking to his army.
So like he's preparing because he's not only going to transfer himself out of the quantum realm, he's going to transport the empire that he's built.
Yeah, the faceless army people.
Because of the fact that he's going to use this army to go attack his variants. Exactly. And it was like also, I think at the same, right before this, right, he's obviously expositing as the villain does.
Yes.
And he's saying how the reason why he was killing his variants is because of the fact that they all had his powers, and they were playing around with the multiverse and timelines and causing incursions.
Yes.
But he was like, when you see time the way I do, you see he just skipped to the end. He sees how unity can only be made if he destroys himself.
Yeah, which just and honestly, kind of a noble thing. Like, yes,
it did make sense because you can see, as he showed the disruptive timeline and how so many Kangs playing around with the multiverses were causing trillions of deaths.
Yeah. Well, so he was going to he was also going to cause trillions.
Yeah,
of deaths,
but I think
he was going to kill every other timeline.
Yeah, So it was just like you get his motivations for that. And so he's placed the power cell into some machine that not only powers his ship, but is going to transport the entire citadel, as he called it, out of the quantum realm. Yeah. And so he's giving a speech to his army, and Cassie and Gentora disrupt that speech so she can give some punk ass speech.
Yeah, which was a shitty speech, and all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, there's Broccoli Head guy again that I saw for a second. There's the dude that Janet cut off his arm and stabbed him in the chest, and his band of people. I didn't even realize they were rebels, but I guess yes, we're gonna call them to fight for us. Like what? It was bad.
Yeah,
this is third act, man. It just
So Scott has arrived, super big now.
Could have done that from the beginning. All of a sudden, you could have just been like, "Yeah, I'm really big."
So he attacks the Citadel. He's trying to stop the spear, like the machine from powering up. Yeah. And at the same time, the rebels from inside the Citadel are trying to help the rebels that are outside.
Yep. Yeah.
So that they can also,
and help. And Kang forgot that he had powers at this point.
Super forgets. He's just sitting there like, don't let him.
Yeah, he's just like, oh my gosh, don't let him.
Like, it was super weird that he started like being a general, just giving out orders.
Like, Kang, you just bodied these people like 30 seconds ago, man. Like, just get out there and mess them all up again.
And so Scott does something smart. He pushes, because there's like a whole force field around the machine, but he's able to just disrupt one of the discs. And it brings down the whole thing.
And MODOK's chasing down Cassie.
Chasing down Cassie because, when Scott enters the Citadel, Kang goes, find Cassie, because Cassie had given a speech.
Yep, Cassie gave a speech.
He says, find Cassie and kill her.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's MODOK's motivation now. He's chasing her. They're fighting. And this is another corny. I think this is. I just can't. I couldn't stand the Cassie character at all. But it was just like, there's a scene where like she defeats MODOK. She like gets really big and punches him in the face. And then she's like, just stop being a dick.
Yeah, just don't be a dick.
And it was like, oh, really?
There was another Marvel movie or some other movie like this that made that same exact joke.
I think it's just like, it's one of those things where like you're using words instead of like, you don't want it to be punch, powers to defeat the villain.
Yes, but
corny shit.
But because I literally remember, I'm blanking on the movie, but had that exact same thing happen. Where it was like, don't be a dick. Like, okay. And then, yes. Yeah.
And so Kang's machine is basically shut down. So he's beyond livid. So he goes full Kang and starts just decimating the rebels. Right? Yeah. You see his like, I think it's flashes from what Janet had seen, his full power. He's just like literally just blasting him into oblivion.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you get Scott, Cassie, and Hope trying to fight him to no avail. He's like just killing, like beating all of them.
He is beating all of them, but they're putting up a lot more of a fight all of a sudden when before they put up no fight at all. So this is the thing where like all of a sudden,
I think it's power levels. And like, I think Marvel has a big problem with power levels and trying to understand.
If Kang had a power level of 100 at every point in time from this movie, I'm talking he's like choking one person out while about to rip.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why did he whatever?
Yes. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, he had a power of 100. Now he has a power of 50. And all of a sudden we're going to make Scott super strong. I'm like, dude, no, that's dumb. Or even like, sorry, last thing, because I don't want to run too long. But when Scott comes in, he's super big and he's just getting hammered by all the shots from like the armies. He's like, oh, what's going on? I can't do it. And then the other rebels come to help out. Literally 2 minutes left later in the movie. Now there's rebels attacking, but he's still getting hammered by all these shots, and he's totally fine. It doesn't bug him at all. I'm like, dude, make up your minds on what's going on here.
And so the trio try to defeat Kang, but they cannot.
Yep.
And then Ex Machina style,
Ant,
Because he literally said, like, Kang said something, but it was like, you think you could defeat me? You play with ants. Or
Yeah,
like
you can talk to ants. Or,
and then here come a whole army of ants, different sizes, different power sets. You had like some with like lasers. And so like it's just this, it's just this swarm of ants, and like they start helping the rebels. And they swarm Kang, and it was just like another way. It was like, bro, they're ants. You just decimate them.
You just use your power.
So it's like this is when you get MODOK's big like sacrifice because Cassie told him to stop being a dick.
He comes in shouting, "I'm not a dick," but that literally was another joke from another movie. I'm just blanking on it right now. But anyway, yes.
And so MODOK, because Kang had created this force field around himself to protect himself from a swarm of ants.
Instead of just running away or getting big or destroying all of them, whatever.
So MODOK comes and self-destructs and blows up that force field so that the ants basically carry Kang away. And I'm just like,
yeah, right. And also, I'm like, what a terrible way to go for a bunch of giant ants to rip you apart. That's basically what they're
That's
trying
what I'm saying.
It's a terrible way to go.
I'm a grown-ass damn near god. But like, so I think they try to have this funny moment, but like you said, I think Marvel has a big problem with serious moments.
Yeah,
they have to inject some comedy in there because I guess they don't think people can take it.
Nope.
So like, as MODOK is dying, he's making
movies. I guess
he's making this joke about it. It was like, I went out with my best friend, and like Scott's like, what?
Yeah, you're like a brother to me.
Yeah,
I'm like, what? I am. Yeah.
And then he also goes like, I went out being an Avenger, and I was just like, I don't. But once again, it was just like, I guess trying to be funny, but it was just like it didn't land. And so at the same time, so they defeated Kang basically.
I guess
MODOK dies, and so they go up because Janet has fixed the engine to be able to create a portal from the quantum realm back to the garage.
What a convenient solution.
It was a lot of beep boop beep boop.
It was like beep beep. Oh, we got a portal now.
It was worse than how Hollywood does hackers. We're just like, give me 2 seconds. Tappity tap tap. I'm in.
What in the world? Yeah.
But so she reconfigures this multiversal power core to get them back to Earth or whatever. Yeah. And so Hank jumps through, Janet jumps through, Cassie jumps through, and then Hope jumps through, and then right as Cassie and Scott are gonna jump through, he kind of pushes her through because Kang shoots some shot from his
wrist laser.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. I like asking about where his powers come from. I think it does come from the suit because they did show it kind of being faulty.
It fizzles out there
after he made that shot. So this is why it comes down to like you have a powerful being, an Ant-Man. I was going to say two powerful beings. It's a full-ass lie.
He's just a normal dude.
So you have this powerful being, an Ant-Man, but it's reduced to their final fight is a fist fight.
It's a fist fight. And
it was frustrating because, like I said, in every single Ant-Man movie, you know that he can't fight.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, it is what it is. It's all the suit. It's him getting big and small.
Yeah.
And it's Kang, who, if you don't know, is about to fight Adonis Creed in fucking 2 weeks.
Yeah. Very true, very true.
Jonathan Majors is a fucking beast.
Yeah. And just beats the crap out of this dude.
He should have been beating him, but it was just like they have this whole thing where it's just like Scott's doing the whole noble thing, trying to just prevent Kang from escaping.
Yeah.
But he can't really stop him, but he keeps trying. And then like right as Kang has...
with this too, the entire time while Kang's being was like, you could have just walked away.
Yeah.
You could. I'm like, you didn't give the man a chance. Like, that's what that means. This is what I'm saying. He broke the promise. He's like, I think, like I said, I think after spending years trying to get this cord, he was just like, Brett, hurry up. Yeah, what are we doing? Literally, what are we doing? I was like, you didn't give him a chance. Like, you didn't even give him a chance to walk away.
It's like saying, you could walk away now. It's like, will you stop punching me in the face first?
No, just walk away. Just walk away.
And so he basically, Kang subdues Ant-Man and he goes to run at the portal. And I think this is what I was talking about earlier, was like talking about building anticipation. Because of who he is and who we knew Kang to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the next big bad.
Yeah.
I was hoping for Ant-Man to fail because Kang escaped. Right,
that would have been much better.
I thought it would have been great, but it was just like right as he's about to jump through, Hope comes, shoots at him.
She could have done that forever ago. Just let it be known. She could have done that like 5 minutes before, so he didn't get his ass.
No, he got his ass whooped first.
Because they're like looking at the portal when he didn't go. They're like, where is he? Why isn't he coming through? Hey, it's a portal. Just fucking step through really quick, and you can come right back. Like, Hope, get in there.
And so she prevents Kang from getting through, and then she puts I think Ant-Man puts a bunch of Pym particles back on the parasite.
Yeah.
And I think this is what you were saying. It was like how
now
quickly they work.
Now it takes 30 seconds for this to go. There's a countdown versus before it's instantaneous.
Yeah, and it was like I think they work together to fight Kang. Somehow they're a match, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I will say the Wasp has always been very capable.
Yeah, and
she's been.
Kang doesn't have a suit right now.
Yeah, she's the muscle of this group, so I could see her. Besting Kang in kind of hand in hand.
Well, yeah,
and also utilizing
without his suit. Yeah, with as long as Kang doesn't have a suit, I guess, because if that's where Kang gets all his powers from the suit, yeah, she should beat him.
And so they beat him into the power cell, and he gets, I guess, sucked into it.
That's not how it works, too.
I guess.
Yeah.
And so the power cell explodes. Kang is defeated again, but the portal is now closed.
Why did the power cell get really big this time?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
I
don't know how pin particles work.
I'm just asking the questions, man.
The questions that people want to know.
The hard-hitting questions. That's me.
And so the
portal closes.
The portal closes. Hank has this whole thing. It was like, you came back for me, which is very interesting because obviously Marvel does this a lot with a lot of their couples where like they fall in love off screen, so it means nothing to the audience.
Yeah, right.
Vision and fucking
Wanda.
Yeah. Even like what was it, Black Widow and the Hulk. It was like they keep doing this shit off screen. It was like, bro, let us see some of it, because when they start showing effects and whatever, I'm like, well, where the fuck did this come from?
Or even more so for me, because you see in the beginning they're like hanging out in the bridge, drinking beer.
Yeah, it's very brief.
Yeah, it's very brief. But then this is like, you came back from me. It's like, dude, that's supposed to be your wife now. Of course, she fucking came back for you. Like what? Like,
as if they were fighting or something.
As if there was like this. Like, why was there any doubt in your mind? She was going to help you out.
So just like they're hugging because they're hugging as you see the rebels have reclaimed the temple. So it's like they reclaimed their lands from Kang. And I think it was one of those things where like, so I truly thought that Hank or Janet was going to die because, like you said, Phase 4 and Phase 5 have very much been this hand passing of the torch. So I didn't. It was very interesting that both Ant-Man and the Wasp were trapped in the quantum realm. It seemed because it was like, well, where did they go from here or whatever? But Cassie, back on Earth, tip tap typing on her.
So you think it's the sacrifice?
Yeah.
You think it's okay? So
Marvel can't even do that, right?
They can't. No. So you're like, all right, Scott and Hope, they sacrificed themselves, and they were like, we'll be in the quantum universe, and we're going to be stuck here for a while ourselves. But at least it's this world, and they're going to rebuild.
Yeah, at least it's without Kang, so it can be peaceful. But no, you got Cassie tip tap typing on her machine.
10 seconds later,
she opens a portal, and they go home.
And they're like, let's go home.
So now you jump back to Scott narrating again, like he was in the beginning, and I think he's preparing to go to a surprise birthday party for Cassie because of the fact that he's missed so many.
Yeah.
And he's narrating to himself, and he was like, he saved the day. He was like, but what did Kang say about more of himself coming?
Well, Kang said that like it was going to be worse.
Yes,
like, Kang is bad, but if he doesn't let
his variants come, like it'll be way worse. So Scott has this kind of doubt on if he had done the right thing.
Yeah, because Scott doesn't know if it's the variants coming. Because Kang just told him something big and bad was coming.
He told Janet that it was him that was coming.
Oh, did he? Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
when he mentioned the multiverse, he was just like, because she said, who messed up,
who exiled you or whatever. Like
or who messed up the multiverse. And
gotcha.
He says me.
Yeah, fair.
And basically, like, he mentioned his variants and causing incursions and stuff like that, which will be, I assume, a big word going forward in this whole multiverse bullshit.
Quantum incursions.
And so he kind of shakes off. He was like, no, we did the right thing.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Cassie's, like, the surprise birthday party for Cassie, and they're sitting there eating cake. And right as he's about to eat, he goes, he still has this doubt about, what's coming.
Yeah.
And then
they make a joke with the cake.
Yeah.
And then credits.
And then once again, it's Marvel. They've ruined film.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't just get up and go.
Yeah.
So the first, I guess this is a mid-credit scene.
Yeah, mid-credit scene.
Mid-credit scene, you have, and this is what fucking pissed me off about the multiverse thing. It was just like, you have a bunch of
like all the
Kangs have been called to called to order, and it was like, but there's three main ones, and it was I think there was one dressed as like a pharaoh, kind of a cybernetic one.
They have special names. I don't remember.
I don't know them either, but it was just like these big three Kangs mentioned that the outcast,
the exile,
Sorry, you're right. The exile has been killed.
Yeah,
and so it was like that means that if they could, and he was like, you're just mad because they're all Kang variants, so they're all Jonathan Majors, just in different costumes. But he goes, one of them goes that you're just mad that you weren't the one to kill him. And then they realize that if they didn't do it,
Yeah.
and an Avenger did it, then maybe the Avengers are getting too strong.
Yep.
So now they need to go ahead with their plan to kind of, I guess, take over. And this is where you get this whole the Kang dynasty or whatever it is. And so he mentions that he called all of them, all of the Kang variants to the to this place,
and they're all super excited and happy about it. Which doesn't make, I guess, just because the Kang we saw was just it's like literally Rick and Morty, with like Rick being the Rickest Rick because he was the one that didn't want to make the Citadel of Ricks. That Kang was the Kangest Kang. He was the only one that didn't want to make the Citadel of Kangs, basically. But
but like I said, I think that's was my biggest issue with Marvel going forward with this whole multiverse thing is like death doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you lose. I mean, one, they won't sacrifice people for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
But it's also like if death doesn't matter, then these moments really you take away from a lot of these crucial moments, these crucial deaths and things like that. So that's the first post-credit scene. So you do see that Kang is coming in some way.
Yeah.
Because they also had this view of the multiverse and it being disrupted.
Yeah.
And the post-credit scene is you see another Kang variant given something timely.
Victor Timely.
Yeah,
Victor Timely.
He's given a presentation in the 1920s about time.
Yeah.
And in the audience is Loki and Mobius.
Yeah.
And I think that's
for Loki season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah.
And Mobius is commenting on like, this is the guy you're talking about. That was so, because at the conclusion of, and this was frustrating about the shows and the movies and stuff like that, but you having to keep up.
Yeah, I had no idea what he meant.
So at the conclusion of Loki season 1, you meet a Kang variant they called the one who remains. He who remains.
Gotcha.
Right. This is your first introduction of Kang into the MCU, and he gives this whole speech about how there was a war between the Kangs, and he's the one that kind of that was left over to run the main timeline. That's why he created the TVA and all these things, because any incursion or something like that, he is disrupting the sacred timeline.
Yeah.
And so Loki's variant, Sophie, I believe her name is something like that, she wants to kill him. And he's like, if you kill me, more of me will just come.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So he was like, he gave them the option to be like, you can just take my job to make sure that the sacred timeline stays, on track. But she betrays them, kills him, and he goes, see you very soon.
Gotcha.
Or whatever. And so Loki is bounced back to the real world or whatever. And it was like the TVA has changed and there's this huge statue of Kang.
Yeah.
And then he sees Mobius played by Owen Wilson, and Owen Wilson doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
Even though he had known him the entire series.
Interesting.
So I think it's interesting because of the fact that it was obviously Loki has regained favor with Mobius, or a certain level of trust.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he's going to be searching for Kang variants or something like that. I don't know. But it was just
all I can really say is thank you for the spoilers for Loki.
Gotcha. No problem. Save yourself fucking 6 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the end. So we do see that obviously Kang is going to be a very big part going forward in the MCU. I think it's just the frustration. Deaths don't matter. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
At least we know the big three, I guess, somewhat.
Yeah.
But that means there's every other, I don't know, the variant shit is going to be very annoying.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, I suppose. Hopefully they'll be better than this one.
We'll see. And like I said, MCU is not looking good. It looks like they pushed back a lot of dates, like with Blade. I think only one is definite, and that's Loki season 2, and then God damn it, another one. But it was like I think they are trying to refigure based on the results of this one.
Yeah.
Are we doing too much? How do we go forward? Oh, and I think it's Loki season 2 and the Secret Wars or something.
Oh, yeah, with the Skrulls.
The
Skrulls.
But everything else I think is in flux. Possibly.
Yeah, I thought the Skrulls were the next big bad, honestly. But yeah, is that a show instead?
It's a show.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, cool. But that is the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. At the end of all of our podcasts, we like to do a quick review. Mike, would you like to change your review of this movie?
No, I won't go lower. I'll say 2.
Yeah. Part of me, for me, if you're looking at it from a piece of cinema, I am going to lower it to 1.5. If you're looking at it from like a Marvel movie for kids, I'll keep it as a 2.5. Except for for kids, they said dick too many times. I wouldn't want to take my 8-year-old to see this movie and they're saying dick like that. That's not nice. Anyway, but that is, again, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We are the Two Meddling Kids. If you would like to reach out to us on Instagram or Twitter, we are at Two Meddling Kids. If you want to shoot us an email at 2medlingkids@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you have anything, any movies you want to have us shout out, if you have anything you want to say, hey, we're always down to listen. Mike, how can they reach out to you?
On Instagram at Days from Legendary.
Perfect. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I am at EdHunt77 on Twitter and Instagram. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.